Alright, so today we are over on Guild Quest to show the two teams that I have used to beat the very hard QUINCY Stammeter ranged Guild Quests. Honestly, this is one of the bigger problems that I have with the Guild Quest. It's just these very ridiculous weeks that we have to go against. You know, we already made a preparation guide. There's not that many characters. And I've been saying every week, worst week, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. In this case, I think this is the worst week possible. Obviously, in this case, we want to bring characters with QUINCY or Stammeter Killer. Ideally, they want to be ranged, but that doesn't mean you have to only bring ranged characters. What we have here is actually YAMAMOTO, and he does work quite well as a lead in this Guild Quest, but again, you kind of have to have the character duped out. Now, the reason why you can use him is because he does have Marauder, so he does ignore the melee attack resistance, but keep in mind his melee damage is also halved, but it's not that big of a deal. The main reason why we are using YAMAMOTO as a lead here is 1, for his soul bomb damage, and 2, he does give our entire team immunity, but also does provide the team with a vortex for good crowd control, so our teammates don't actually take any damage. So of course, to make sure he does as much damage as possible on his soul bomb, we give him a T-set, fortification pill, and also tension tie. For the links, we're going with a mixture of full stamina damage, recharge, and strong attack damage. Recharge being the most important thing here because you want to keep stacking that SA2. I guess if possible, giving him full stamina damage linked and recharge would be better here over strong attack damage and recharge, since that extra full stam does contribute to his sub-on damage, but with the build I had here, this was perfectly fine. Again, max transcended with full stamina and also damage to burning enemies. You could give him weakened defense, he already has it built in, so just go with either or. Now, Ruroka. Now, for the most part, over the last 2 weeks of Guild Quest, there's been that one character that you kind of have to own to beat it, and in this case, Ruroka, surprisingly, is that character. Although, not really if you do own the new Toshiro that just came out early this morning. But in Ruroka's case, she's the only normal attack damage character that has QUINCY Killer and is also ranged, so there's really not that many replacements for her. She is, fortunately, a premium character that's been out in the game for like 2 years now, and again, I know not everyone's going to have her duped out, not max transcended, but it's a lot easier to try and get her max transcended compared to what we had in the past where you had to have, you know, Bruno and Macy duped out. But in her case, she is max transcended with full stamina and damage to burning enemies. She's not immune to weakening, but YAMAMOTO does give that immunity. And we've gone with Golden Chappie at Chappie Hollow Bait with 3 normal attack damage soul traits. Hiyori in particular giving us 80% last ditch in the potential chance that Ruroka does end up dying. For our third character, we have a pretty good team booster in the case of Christmas Yoruichi. Really cool that I get to use her here. She is a ranged QUINCY Killer, so she herself can do some damage. But keep in mind, it's only going to be on her SA3 and also SA1. Her SA2 is a boost and also heal, which is really cool because it's a booster boost. So I'm getting 43% extra attack, focus, and defense. But unfortunately, that attack in of itself is classed as a melee attack. Only Toshiro got fixed today. This still does no damage, but it doesn't ruin the character. We can still definitely get a use out of her. She's mainly there just to boost and do some damage on her SA3. She's 2 out of 5, by the way, with level 10 SP at level 10 focus. The level 10 focus isn't needed. We did beat this Guild Quest without the level 10 focus. I'm just giving it to her now just to make it easier for me. Again, full stamina, damage to burning enemies. YAMAMOTO makes sure we are immune. This is the accessory that we are using. And then again, we're going with a mixture of recharge, full stamina damage, and also strong attack damage. So with that said, let's jump into the run and beat the very hard Guild Quest. Alright then, so jumping into the quest, what we're going to do right away is use our SA1. That is going to attract Ryukin to come down to us. SA3, and then obviously use our SA2. That's going to trap Ryukin in place, so our main damage dealer, more so Ruroka, but both me and also Yoruichi can do damage ourselves, can get the most possible damage output, right? At the same time, if possible, we do want to make sure that we can somehow try to kill all the mini-mobs that are besides us. Because we want to make sure Ruroka, our main damage dealer, is always focused on the boss, and if she's wasting time using a Nattering on mobs, like on the side, it doesn't really help us out that much, right? Like you can kind of see now, she kind of wasted a Nattering and an SA1 there. It's kind of fine though, it was actually relatively quick regardless. In this case, we're going to stay close. Let's use our SA3. This is potential, right? We have 17 seconds left. As long as Ruroka can keep getting the Nad hits in, this ain't too bad. This actually looks really promising here. Let's just stay back. Candice is actually distracted on us. Let's use our SA2. And then now, because we do have a max transcended YAMAMOTO, all we have to do is use our sub-bomb. With weakened defense, double weakened defense, it might nuke all the way through. In this case, though, we are going to get really close. It's going to kill all the mini-mobs, and in that case, it only takes 1 strong attack from me, maybe an extra hit from Ruroka, and we do clear the quest. Relatively easy, right? I mean, this team is definitely consistent. It's very rare for me to do a live recording for a video, but we just did that first attempt. Not a personal best, but this is very close to what I was getting. And I will say, I did try out the team without a max translated Ruka. It really didn't work. Ruka's damage output isn't anything super high because she did come out 2 years ago. So having those extra dupes really do help here. I know not everyone, again, has a max translated YAMAMOTO, but at least when compared to BALGO, and BALGO, we're about to showcase a run with him, BALGO's super limited, more limited than YAMAMOTO. Not everyone has that character, especially duped out. YAMAMOTO, for the most part, has been kind of like a must-have for a lot of people's accounts, especially to get dupes of if you care about guild quests. So I know, even though if little, there are more people out there with a max transcended YAMAMOTO when compared to a max transcended BALGO, right? But that was basically the YAMAMOTO run. Now let's change it up. Let's use BALGO and see how the team does look a tad bit different. So next team, we're using BALGO. This is unfortunately a max transcended team, right? I've seen people beat it with less transcendence, but it does require a bit more RNG that I don't have time to do right now. But in BALGO's case, if you are looking to use him, he makes for a decent lead, one of the better ones right now, but not anything super ideal by any means when compared to the past leads that we used to use, like Macy and also Bruno. But in his case, we're using a fortification pill, a Masanga since he does have killer against all 5 enemies, and also a Kamari. Links include recharge, full stamina, and strong attack damage. Again, max transcended with full stamina and also weakened defense. We have to be a tad bit careful here. We're not immune to statement, so we are going to have to stand in the safety area. But what that does mean too is that since we aren't using YAMAMOTO, our Ruka now has to be immune to weakening. And the only way for us to do that is by giving her the bonus ability and also using the Shunsui link, so we're also getting 20% no attack damage with the weakened duration. With those two in combination, we're now fully immune to weakening and also still have our usual normal attack damage output. Again, Ruka is basically the exact same. Nothing's really changed there. And then our third character is our team booster. In this case, I chose to use Jushiro since I have him duped out. His damage doesn't matter that much. You can, of course, use 1000 Year Blood with Aizen. They're literally just here to provide a boost and also a barrier. And again, Orihime, the maid version, would be the best here. I just don't have her. Just so we can do some damage though, even if little, he is still contributing. We give him weaken resistance, and then we're using the Byakuya link with recharge and also weaken duration, so that way he's immune to weakening, and he still also has the max amount of recharge, so we can stack that boost more often than not. With that said, let's jump in the run. Alright then, so with BALGO, what we're going to do right away is get into the safe zone, right? The safe zone is over here. This is where you can stand around and not have to worry about getting inflicted with weakening, right? And again, we want to make sure we're always using our nat string when we possibly can, and also strong attacks. And if we have an SA2 that can push back the enemy, we want to push them back to a wall. That way, the boss isn't getting too sent far away, right? Bambietta can be the easy boss here since she is a hard character. We do obviously more damage to her. As you can see, we're going through this quest relatively fast, or at least in Bambietta's stage. Unfortunately, don't have any attacks ready to go. That's fine though, everyone's kind of grouped together, so Iban is already inflicted with weakening. That's really good. And at the same time, we killed the boss, the mini-mobs relatively quick as well, right? There we go. SA1 went off. Iban goes down. Let's group everyone up if possible. SA3, everyone should be dead. Looks like it. Okay, now all we gotta do is kind of hope Candice gets focused on us, if possible. Let's send Candice to the left with the SA2. Just finish up a few more hits. We can't really see what's going on here. There we go. We have 10 seconds left, and this is pretty much, I would like to think, a guaranteed win. Again, BALGO's soulbone damage can actually be quite high here since he does have the SP boost. We didn't have it naturally, so we're about to get it right now from inflicting status ailments, and we actually have 3 strong attacks to follow up here. Everyone goes down. Boss goes down after like what, 3 strong attacks. Nice and easily done. Only took me a few attempts there. Had to edit out the resets. Sometimes, you know, the run doesn't go the way you want it to, right? But still, regardless, we did clear there. And a very similar run to YAMAMOTO. So for those that are wondering like who's actually better, when compared at 5 out of 5, I think Yama is the better character here. And I think Yama's run had potential to get higher. But the reason why Yama was usable in our particular run is because he was max transcended. His soulbone did do a lot of damage. If your Yama's only 1-5 and your BALGO's 1-5, I would assume, I haven't tested it though, but I would assume BALGO would still be the better character to run here. Either way though, those are essentially like your main leads for this guild quest. BALGO main, or a YAMAMOTO, or if you're lucky enough to pull the new Toshiro, Toshiro's also going to be really good here, and he himself will be doing a lot of the carrying. That's kind of the problem with this week in particular, is that while it's nice we do have access to Ruka, besides basically Toshiro, the leads are all kind of mediocre. Like, BALGO is not a bad character, but he wasn't clearly designed for guild quest content. He's no Macy or Bruno, right? With that said though, just to show some examples of what other members in the community are using, we're over on Cool's Discord server. This, I believe, has the most active guild quest community, and we'll have a link to the Discord server if you lads want to join. In this case though, shout out to Sir Auron. Again, just goes to show how good Toshiro actually is, where he had a 1 out of 5. Toshiro, Ruroka, and also Orihime, again, best support character, and he was just able to beat it. That's really impressive. That mainly goes to show how good Toshiro actually is. In this case, and I'd really like to see this run in motion, we have a max transcended Akon, a max transcended Ruroka, and of course also an Orihime, and they still actually beat it. Really impressive. So it goes to show that you can even use Akon as a main, but it does look like if you aren't using Toshiro as a main, you're gonna want to have dupes of Ruroka because your main really isn't doing that much carrying. This is a pretty interesting team from Jom, a 2-5 Toshiro, 2-5 Akon, and also Orihime. Now, I do like this combination. For those that don't know, Akon makes it so you do 40% more damage to enemies afflicted with an ailment, and that only goes to speed attribute Soripers. And of course, Toshiro is a speed Soriper. He has a very high chance of inflicting freeze, so these two here really do combo well together. If you have Toshiro and you have Akon, I definitely say throw them onto the same team, right? This, I guess, is an example of a team that you don't need Ruroka in, and of course, if you throw in Orihime, any team gets better with Orihime. The lads RL has used a 1 out of 5 Toshiro, a 5-5 Ruroka, and a 5-5 Aizen. The Aizen dupes here don't really matter too much, but they did just about clear the quest with 4 seconds to spare. But then again, using a 1-5 Tosh, a 1-5 Akon instead, they were able to clear the quest a tad bit slower, but this team in particular does require less dupe investment. The lad Venom, this one's interesting. A 5-5 BALGO, so a max transcended BALGO, but no other character here to do really damage. He has a max transcended Orihime and a max transcended Aizen, so I know not many people are going to have this team duped out, but essentially BALGO was like the only DPS character here, and they still managed to beat it despite using 2 characters without even having killer effects. I would like to think if you had Orihime or Aizen, only 1 out of 5, you should still be able to beat it, but probably not. Considering how close it was, even though these characters don't have killer, and therefore their damage output significantly lower, it probably still just about helped and contributed to beating this quest, but I would like to think it also took a long time to get this particular run. Fair play though, this lad just literally beat it last second. Shout out to Elliot. He had a 3-5 BALGO, a 1-5 Yoruichi, and a 5-5 Ruroka, so it goes so you don't even need a max transcended BALGO to just beat this quest. Again, I would have assumed it went down to the last second, as you can see there. You are going to get lucky in RNG and maybe with statism and procs, but it does look to be beatable. Dudu has a very similar team. Again, we're seeing a lot of the same characters here. There isn't that many options, but this is a 2-5 BALGO, a 5-5 Ruroka, and a 1-5 Orihime, and they were able to beat it and actually get a better score than I got, funny enough. That just goes to show how good Orihime is as a support character, but it also goes to show that you don't need a max transcended BALGO to beat this quest, assuming you have a max transcended Ruroka, which again, I understand not everyone does have, but it's a lot more reasonable to expect you to have a max transcended premium character that came out 2 years ago compared to one of the more limited and rarer characters in the game in BALGO. This lad here didn't even use BALGO as a main. Somehow they got away using an Akon as the main, a premium character that 5 out of 5 Akon, a 5 out of 5 Ruroka, a 4 out of 5 Orihime, although the dupes in this case shouldn't matter too much, and they had 11 seconds to spare. In this case though, shout out to Zark. They were actually able to beat the quest with a 3-5 BALGO, 3-5 Ruroka, and also an Orihime, and had 3 seconds to spare. So I guess Zark is showing us here that it is beatable without max transcended characters. In this case, this team had none of that. Just a 3-5 Ruroka and a 3-5 BALGO. Credit to Omni for this one, I guess. He actually went ahead and used a max transcended New Year's of Rukia. And I don't think anyone has a max transcended, but it's cool to see her be used as a main. And they got a respectable score here with 10 seconds to spare. All of the characters here are 5-5, but really cool to see someone actually using Rukia as a main. Never thought I'd see that. First and only person I've seen use Rukia in this particular quest. The A went ahead and used a Soden Shuriyuki main with 5 seconds to spare, max transcended Ruroka, and also an Orihime. Again, you can always experiment with the leads or characters in this team if you do have Orihime. She really does help out here. But once more, really cool to see an unconventional character as a main, not using BALGO, not using Toshiro. They still managed to be able to beat it. This, I think, is a good example of working with what you got. Anyway, lads, with that said, that was the video for today, just showing some of the teams that I was able to use to beat this particular quest, and also some other teams, less transcended teams that other members in the community were able to use to beat this quest too. Again, another pretty bad guild quest phase, I must say. There's not that many options. This right now is probably the worst week unless you have Ruroka duped out, or if you got lucky enough, maybe did the discounts, got lucky and pulled the new Toshiro. Toshiro really does help here. Thanks to the fact that his SF3 now does damage, he's actually a really good main for this guild quest, which at least in my opinion, I think is really cool to see a mid-1 character be that good in a particular quest. It's rare for us to see that. I'm kind of down for it. Hope you liked and enjoyed the video though. Let me know what team you'd like to use in the comments below. And until next time, take care and peace.